Hello, I'm Richard Ridge for Broadway World. Glenn Close is returning to Broadway in her iconic Tony Award-winning role of silent screen star Norma Desmond in Andrew Lloyd Webber's classic musical Sunset Boulevard. It will open here at the Palace Theatre on February 9th under the direction of Lonny Price, and we dropped by to meet the company.
Well, this is a production that was done at the English National Opera last year in London at the Coliseum. It's a highly staged concert, very brilliantly directed by Lonny, but that's what it is, with the orchestra on stage. And a great joy for me because it's really about the material. So people are coming really, and it doesn't have huge sets and things to impose itself on it. It's the score as I wrote it, and therefore I think what it offers is the opportunity to not only consider the score, but also you've got great acting performances, which are again not, as it were, overshadowed by very vast scenery. And I think if there's anything one could say about the original Sunset is that it looked wonderful, but that it was a pretty huge thing. And here, I think what surprised audiences and critics and everybody alike in London was just how much this was really conceived as a through-written piece of music, and it's got a really great libretto by Chris Hampton and Don Black, and I think this is what excites me is that you can hear the material and judge the material without a whole paraphernalia being put on top of it.
Well, it takes place in an abandoned soundstage, and it's really Joe's point of view. It's almost as though the audience is the jury, and he is defending his life as to what happened to him in his time in Hollywood. And so we're seeing fragments of the moments in his life with Norma and arriving in California and Hollywood, and so it's really about Joe's point of view through the whole show. Yeah. And also, it's a deconstructed soundstage that happens to have a 40-piece orchestra, which is underscoring his life. And we get to hear Andrew's sort of rhapsodic, Max Steiner, glorious film score. Not only is it a great Broadway score, but it's a great film score. And with 40 players, you'll really feel it. It's just going to sound like the greatest movie ever. And also that, Glenn was very willing to approach this role freshly. And in the original production, as you remember that glorious John Napier set, it was very kind of hyper-realistic, and the acting wound up being a little more abstract. Glenn would even say almost a grotesque. And this is much more naturalistic. The set is deconstructed, but the acting is very, very much more naturalistic. She's eccentric, but she's not a creature. And it's really a love story, and about a middle-aged woman holding on to her life. Not only her career, but her life and her femininity. And whereas in 1950, when the film came out, a 30-year-old and a 50-year-old woman was a scandal, horrible, taboo. It's not true anymore. So it's that aspect of it is not what we're focusing on. It's not the age difference. It's who they are as people. And also that the attachment to this fantasy of show business and fame and celebrity and the price everybody pays for it. Norma will lose her mind, Joe will lose his life, Max will lose his reason for being, and Betty will lose the love of her life. So there's a great price paid for this attachment.
It's one of my favorite roles that I've ever played, I think, because he's so intricate, he's so complicated, and he just keeps it all internally. And it comes out in little bursts here and there until the end when it finally reveals, the story. It's amazing. It's amazing.
I love Lonny's new interpretation of this. That it's all fragments of Joe's life being played out on this beautiful soundstage.
Yeah. It's gorgeous. I mean, Lonny and Matt, they're geniuses. They've created a fantastic piece of theatre. And I think because the set is stripped down to what it is, you focus a lot more on the characters and you get the story so much clearer. And together with the wonderful music of Andrew, on stage, when I'm there performing, I get, I go through the motions and I get very moved myself, not by my own performance, but by the whole, the story.
This has been a musical of mine. I've just loved the music since I was so small. And having the opportunity to work on this thing with Glenn Close And, you know, Michael's phenomenal, and then Fred, and then Lonny is a director. I mean, everyone and all the creatives. It's just the best amalgamation of the best talent around at the moment, and it's just brilliant, yeah.
And playing Betty, what a great role, and singing the score. Tell me.
I think one of the first songs I ever sung when I was a kid was Too Much in Love to Care. So being able to sing it on a Broadway stage, it's just a dream come true. How cliche. It's a dream come true.
Sharing the stage with Glenn Close, what that's been like for you, rehearsing with her and then performing with her, what it means.
She's one of those women, isn't she? I mean, not only is she an exquisite actress, but she's also a beautiful person as well. And I mean, she's everything and more that you could wish for.
I was pinching myself every day, and I continue to pinch myself every day here now. It's just the most bizarre kind of experience. My younger self is looking at my older self going, how on earth did you get here? But it's amazing to work with Glenn and work on this particular show with this character. It's a dream come true.
Talk about Joe Gillis and your Joe Gillis.
Well, my Joe Gillis himself is a guy who is he's an aspiring writer and has come to a point where he can't get work even as an editor now of other people's work. So he's deciding to just quit the whole business. He's given up. He's going to move back home, just be a writer back in Dayton. And he stumbles across Norma Desmond's house, and you know the rest is the story, which I'll let you come and watch. My Joe Gillis is very much not taken from anybody else's performance. I like to explore characters from the text, so I don't like to watch anybody else doing the role. So I specifically didn't do that, didn't do any research into anybody else's performance. So I've just done that.
How did this all come about for you? I have the fondest memories of seeing you in the original here, but this is a totally reimagined production. Talk about that.
Well, I don't think I would have gone back to it if it wasn't totally reimagined, you know, I mean, why? But I was, you know, I really respect what Lonny had done with Sweeney Todd and company, and he's brilliant, he's absolutely brilliant. And I thought, you know, it would be fun. I'd never been on the West End. It's an incredibly challenging role. I wanted to kind of see how my voice was, you know, all the kind of things you want to know, still working. And it was a magnificent experience. I thought it was going to be a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and I'm knocking on wood because who knows how New York will accept this new version. I don't go in with any expectations other than we'll give one hell of a show. So it was exciting. It was a great creative experience for me to go back to a role like Norma and to discover all new things. And again, I didn't go in with any expectation. I said to Lonny, let's just start from scratch. I don't feel compelled to do anything that I did before.
Just talk about Andrew Lloyd Webber's gorgeous score. I mean, revisiting that again for the first time.
Well, the luxury of this particular production is I can stand on those platforms and look down on an orchestra and hear the details of the score of the orchestrations. They are every night. You know, there's certain moments where I feel it, you just can't help it. And what's exciting also, and which I love, is Andrew, because he has this orchestra, has gone in and re-orchestrated certain things. He's refined it, and that's thrilling. I mean, and only making it closer to what's happening in the story. And being in the Sitzprobe yesterday with the musicians for the first time, I think they're thrilled because they bring their expertise of a Broadway, you know, the kind of jazz, you know, they know all the different musical styles, but then to play with the power of 40 of them, it's going to be overwhelming. It's going to be amazing.
This incredible cast. I mean, your co-stars from London coming here.
Gorgeous. They're all gorgeous. Gorgeous.
So my final question is, as you're sitting here, what are you looking forward to the most with returning to Broadway as Norma?
Getting through opening night.
Norma Desmond, the greatest star of all, is back. Don't miss Glenn Close in Andrew Lloyd Webber's Tony-winning masterpiece, Sunset Boulevard.